do that, like time warping. My flights just didn't exist in a different realm, and I oh my gosh. Hi girly pops, I can't believe I am finally getting to filming this video. This has been the craziest, is it? This could honestly be top 3 for craziest 3 weeks of my entire life. Sorry, I don't know how to explain this at all. Okay, so I'm a little nervous for this story time because I'm not the best with my words sometimes. Like, I got it all figured out here, and then sometimes I watch my videos and I'm like, I just didn't get the point across. So I might have to fix this with voiceovers if I just don't explain something right, because sometimes I mean one thing and then I watch it back and then everyone gets a different idea. So just bear with me. I'm going to try to explain this as best as possible because by the title, you're probably very confused. And it's like 2 different story times into one thing, because first we went to Europe. Spock is playing with his toy because it wouldn't be a video without him playing with a toy. Hi, Spock. So first we went to Europe, and then coming back from Europe, that's a whole nother story time too, which is all in one. So this is gonna be a long video, but honestly the craziest part of the story is going to be at the end of the video. So if you can bear with me, grab a snack, play this as a podcast in your car going to school or something, I don't know, because this is gonna be a lot and finally telling it. So yeah, this is the first day that I haven't had a fever, so I put on some makeup and I'm trying to like remember how to be a YouTuber, but like I haven't been in front of a camera in so long. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, let's just start from the beginning. So how I lost $10,000 from traveling. It's a very large number, it's very dramatic, and I don't know. Actually, this all started because I made this one joke. I was like, I wish my life could just be more crazy so that all I would have to do is live life and then make story times about it like Tana Mojo. And that's just like so funny, you know, just like, oh, like have a crazy life, Tana Mojo story times. And then this all happened and I really regret saying that, and your words have power, so don't just make jokes like that. So basically, me and Ryan, it's gonna be our 1-year anniversary, right? So we're planning this really big trip. We only take like 1 trip per year as like a present to ourselves for like working hard, and like, you know, because if you don't just reward yourself every now and then, you're just gonna get burnt out. So we've never been to Europe. I've always wanted to go to Europe, so we picked like the top 2 things on our bucket list, which is to go to Italy, the Amalfi Coast, and to Santorini, Greece, which is like all over Instagram. Like those are the 2 major places. Literally Kylie Jenner went to the Amalfi Coast like right before us. So this is the place to be, and we're so excited. We're planning, and I didn't even realize, but I was kind of planning the trip all by myself, which wasn't an issue for me. So I thought, because I love researching travel and I was doing it so much anyway, that everyone just kind of expected like, okay, like Haley knows where she wants to go, we're just gonna trust her. And like, I chose the flights, I chose the hotels. Oh my gosh, this is actually so funny because I thought I was so cool because I found this like loophole in the system that if you type in like, let's say Texas to Italy, it's gonna cost $3,000. But if you do Texas to London and then London to Italy, it ends up being like $400. So I was like, wow, I'm just so smart. I found this loophole. Like, guys, trust me, I can find the cheapest flights. I can find the best hotels for cheap. Like, I know what I'm doing. I watch so many travel blogs and I read so much Pinterest and all this stuff, and I just thought I really had it going for me, you know? So lesson learned is to have someone double check. But anyways, first issue starts before we even leave for the trip. So I booked the first hotel in Italy, and these hotels in Italy are no joke because the Amalfi Coast is like a vertical city. Like there's not much room, and so they can hike up the prices just because they can, and because there's not that much room, and like people are trying to go to Italy, you know, so they can just jack up the prices for absolutely no reason. But we were only staying 3 nights, so we were like, okay, this is a treat to ourselves. We're gonna get ourselves like a pretty good hotel. I mean, honestly, all the hotels there are like already rated 4 stars, so like you can't even get like a cheap one if you wanted to. So I booked this one hotel. I'm so excited. I'm like, Ryan, I got us our hotel. Things are starting to come together for this trip. And then somewhere along the line, I check my email like maybe a week later, and I realized that I booked the hotel for a month before we were gonna be there. So I was supposed to book the hotel for August 30th to September 3rd, and I booked it for July 30th to August 3rd. So that's, you know, a little bit panicking, but it's fine, right? Because I can just get my money back, right? But no, I can't get my money back. Spock, this is the intense part of the story. Please be quiet. because you have to like put down a deposit and you can't get that back. And this is literally what it says. It literally says, this is the amount you paid. This is how much is gonna be charged to you if you cancel it, which was basically the entire price of the room. And your dates can't be changed. And you just, that's just it. Like, you just get charged the full amount basically. So I start hyperventilating because do you know, I mean, you know how much money that is. Like, just look at that. It was like $4,000 with the conversion or something, which is so expensive for literally 3 nights of a hotel. But me and Ryan were gonna split it, and it's like our 1-year anniversary, so we were spoiling ourselves. And the fact that I literally was about to cost ourselves, not even Ryan, just me, because I'm the one who booked it, that much money because I didn't look at the dates correctly. So embarrassing and so stupid. So I call this place, I email them, and I'm just like begging them. I'm like, this was for our 1-year anniversary. Is there any way you can change the dates? Is there any way we can just like have our money back? Like, listen, I'm just 18, I'm stupid. Like, this was for our 1 year and like this was our budget and I can't just like let this go, you know? And thank God they were so nice. They tried to get us in for the next month, but they just didn't have any availability. So she ended up just giving me my money back because I don't even think it went through my credit card yet. So thank God we dodged a bullet there, but that is probably the only bullet that we dodged in this entire story time. So on to the next thing that happened. I'm gonna even put the minor things in just to really make you feel like you were on this trip with us. So then it finally comes to the dates where we're actually going. Obviously I book a new Italy hotel and everything like that. And so we have our flight from Austin to London, and we land in London. We have this whole like 7-hour layover. So we do all the things like we stand on the London Bridge, we see Big Ben, we see the London Eye, we eat, we talk to some Uber drivers, and that was all really fun. And that was great. London was amazing, and Spock, I can't stop staring at him because he's so cute. And then we have, Spock, this is a really intense story time and you're kind of interrupting me, but you're really cute. Look, oh my gosh, I just hit your face. I'm sorry, you're so forgiving. Ew, please don't kiss me. I'm not trying to get sick. Look, he just got a bath and he looks like a little crocodile. Okay, mother was gone to Europe for so long, I hated it. So anyways, from London, we have our flight to Italy, and all of that is great until all of a sudden we're about to board the plane and they say on the intercom, hi, so we're about to board the flight to Italy, and then all of a sudden we got a call that the Italy airport is now closed. I don't know if you guys fly a lot, but I've heard delays for many reasons, but I have never heard that an airport just straight is closing when they literally scheduled this flight to come in. So that was kind of funny. And then all of a sudden they were just like, JK, like everyone get on the plane really fast so we can get there really fast. And that was weird, but okay, then we went to Italy, and honestly, Italy was great. This was the one part of the trip that did not go wrong. Thank God, because Italy made up for the entire trip, honestly. So Italy was great. It was exceeded our expectations. I highly recommend it. It's just as great as the Instagram photos, if not better, which is rare with travel because sometimes the Instagram photos are better than the actual experience, and Italy was just great. It was just great, okay? So that is the best part about this story. And then everything just goes wrong when we go from Italy to Greece. Oh, I forgot to say, Ryan left his camera on the plane from London to Italy. So when we landed in Italy, he got off the plane and the camera was underneath the seat. And it was the camera we had just bought for like the Trey family and for him and everything like that. So that was pretty terrible. But then he asked the front desk and they were like, okay, it'll be at the Lost and Found. Whenever you come back to this airport, you can just get it. So we're like, great. We get in the Uber to go to Italy, and then like 15 minutes into the Uber ride, they're like, oh, we actually found your camera if you want to come get it. But we were like already so far gone that we couldn't. So we're like, okay, that's fine. We will just deal with that when we go from Italy to Greece. So now it comes to that time. We go back to the Italy airport and Ryan tries to get his camera. So we go through security and we're ready to get on our flight. And that is when Ryan asks them, where is Lost and Found? Like, where can I go get my camera? And they're like, oh, that's outside of security. So you're gonna have to like exit the airport and then go to Lost and Found and then go back through security. No one likes going through security. That's literally the worst part about going to the airport is security. So the fact that he already went through security, had to exit, and then come back through is annoying already. But then the fact that we only had 30 minutes before our flight took off was like another added layer of stress. And I really wish Ryan was here right now to tell that part of the story because he explains it so much better. But basically, he exits the airport. He goes to the first place that someone had told him to go to, and it's closed. Like some, I don't know, I think he said he went into a room that was actually like the janitor's room, and she got really confused and just started screaming at him, and then he left. And then they told him to go somewhere else on like the other side of the airport. He runs to the other side of the airport, and the Lost and Found doesn't open for like 2 more minutes, and it's literally 8:58 and it doesn't open till 9. And then it finally opens, and then there's entire line, and Ryan's like, hey guys, like I have a flight in 30 minutes, like you guys don't mind if I just go up to the front and like ask for my camera really really quick, right? And everyone's like, nope, you gotta go to the back. And even the people there are just not helping him and being like, sorry, we don't know where your camera is, which they were just like purposely being a-holes because he knew they had their camera. Like they literally called us and said, hey, we found your camera, it'll be at lost and found. And then on the day of, it's new people working, they're just acting like they don't know what's happening because Ryan's trying to cut the line. And even the people in line, like I feel like in America, people are like, oh, like he's about to miss his flight, just like let him get his camera and go. But these people were just not budging and they weren't giving him contact information, nothing, yada, yada, yada. Basically it gets to like more and more close to the plane taking off. So he basically ran around the airport for 30 minutes, had people scream at him all for nothing because they just didn't want to help him find his camera. So then he goes back through security and we make the flight, thankfully. So that's sad, we lose the camera. That's that. And then that's a great little added note to the story because then we go to Greece and as we land, we realize that because remember how like I booked everything on my own, I yet again screw up the date for my bookings and I didn't book the Airbnb for the night that we landed. It started the next day. So the day that we landed in Greece, we had nowhere to stay. So last minute, Ryan and I gotta whip out our phones. I feel like so many times during this vacation, everyone realized something I messed up and then we all had to go on our phones and like frantically research how we were going to survive for that night and not just like be in the streets of Santorini, Greece. So pretty embarrassing stuff. So we all whip out our phones and we're trying to find a hotel that's open and we were honestly so scared that it was gonna be like in Italy where literally all of the hotels are booked for months and we were like, what if we just can't get a hotel tonight? Like what if we literally land and everything is booked and we just can't have somewhere to stay? So that's what we were terrified about, but luckily Santorini is much bigger and there's also other cities we could have gone to, so it wouldn't have been terrible. But had we done that in Italy, I literally would have screwed us out of anywhere to stay. So thankfully we found a hotel and the hotel actually ended up being one of the nicest experiences in Santorini, so that was great. Now this is just a mini review of Santorini just in case you see the Instagram pictures and you've like always wanted to go there. I highly discourage you from going to Greece. Not only are they economically struggling and just the government is kind of struggling right now, but it's just like not fun. I don't know, there's nothing to do there because there's no beach, it's just a cliff. So there's shopping, but then you can barely even like maneuver through the streets because it's so crowded. And then if you're like on the outside of it, it's really bare and just looks like flat land that's like it's just not that pretty, or you're like in it and it's too crowded and there's nothing to do. So Santorini is not as pretty as the Instagram bloggers make it seem. So that's just a little insight in case you were wondering, because I feel like that's like pretty surprising to a lot of people to hear because it's like on a lot of people's bucket list. So that's just my review of it. So then the next thing that happens, I have it all written down because there's literally so much. So the next thing was that we were gonna take a ferry from Santorini to another island called Milos, and I'm pretty sure this is still a mystery to me because I don't know what happened, but we booked the ferry before we even left for the trip. And then the day before we were supposed to go, I just couldn't find like any trace that we had done that, like no email, no tickets. And then I was like, did we even book it? Like what happened? So I looked through my credit card history and there was nothing. So I hope I wasn't charged, but basically our ferry bookings just completely disappeared. So we were like, okay, that's weird. Like that's very minor, but at this point, like so many things that I had booked had gone wrong that I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like why can I not book one thing correctly? Like, so anyways, we booked the ferry the night before, which is much more expensive. So that was great. There's like another $200 that we could have saved. That my fault again. But Ryan did book it with me, so I was like, did you see that we booked it? Like we were both sure that we booked it. But anyways, that was a minor mishap. Not that minor though, because it was a lot of money, but you know, whatever. So we go to Milos, it's great, and we're just like really itching to get home at this point. We're homesick. Ryan and I can only travel for like 3 days before wanting to go home and seeing Spock again and stuff. So finally time to go back home, and this is where it really hurts our bank accounts. This mistake is the largest mistake that I made on this entire trip, so bear with me to understand what I did. So like I said earlier in the video, I booked from London to home because those are the only non-stop flights. So I booked a flight from Greece to London. That flight was on September 7th, nighttime. We would leave at around midnight and we would land in London at 2 a.m. The flights from London to home left at 10 a.m. on September 7th. I don't know if you just caught that, but I definitely didn't when we were booking it, because 10 a.m. on September 7th would be the day before, because our flight from Santorini to London left at midnight on September 7th and landed at 2 a.m., which then becomes September 8th. So what I meant to do was book a flight from London to home on September 8th at 10 a.m. But the flight was 10 a.m. on September 7th, the day before. We realized this. Ryan catches this mistake actually because he's like, something just doesn't add up about these flights in my email right now. And I don't know if you know how expensive it is to book an international flight the day before you leave. It was the most mind soul crushing thing. Like this sinking feeling of just like all you want is to go home. You are in a foreign country. You have been in this foreign country for so long now, and all you want is to look forward to your flight home tomorrow. The one thing that you can count on to get yourself home, I screwed up. So we don't have flights home is basically what I'm telling you. And Ryan is texting me right now. We don't have flights home at this point. So this is literally the night before. So we start getting on our computers, frantically searching for flights home, and there's literally 0 options. But the craziest part about this is there would have been a really great option to fly back home, but it was literally taking off in like 1 hour. And had we just noticed this mistake maybe a few hours earlier in the day, we could have gotten home at like the same time. And just like the odds that we realized this mistake so late and it just limited us to so few flights, it was insane. Like I don't know how we went on this full 9-day trip not realizing that our flights were non-existent until the day before we were flying out. So literally like the biggest nightmare when you're in a foreign country trying to find new flights. So we finally find new flights and okay. This just shows like how badly we wanted to get home because of how much I paid for these freaking flights. But let's just say that if we didn't have a budget for this trip, we literally would have had to go sleep in an airport 3 nights in a row to get like a reasonable deal. Let's just say I'm very grateful for my job and grateful that I am not stupid with my money in other ways so that I can, you know, accommodate for myself when I make these stupid mistakes. I've got like a, you know, a savings to fall on when I'm this idiotic. But basically, I paid for my mom to come on the trip as well for flights to go back home the next day. And it was actually like a much bigger time change. We were gonna get home a day later than we were originally going to, but it was still the soonest that we could get home. And those flights cost about $3,000 each, and I also paid for my mom, so it was about $6,000 to fly back home. I literally still think about it sometimes and I'm like, we really spent that much money. Like that's probably how much the whole trip cost, and then we just spent that much the day before we left just to get home, because I literally didn't realize that midnight equals changing a day, and you can't do that. Like time warping, my flights just didn't exist in a different realm, and oh my gosh, it literally the stupidest mistake I've ever made, the biggest cost mistake I have ever made in my entire life. So I can't believe I did that. And if you are booking a bunch of different flights, please check times, check airports, check your dates over and over again, or else you will literally be stranded in a foreign country, and that is not fun. So after that all happened, obviously that's a nightmare, but I was like, I'm just gonna count my blessings and we're gonna get home. So we bought those tickets and we get home. And as soon as I get home, I can't eat anything without just diarrheaing it out. So I will literally just like take a sip of coffee and just like my stomach would go into these intense cramps, and I was literally like, it was just me in the toilet that week, you know? I just didn't see anyone else, just me in the toilet, and I literally was like diarrheaing out everything like 16 times a day, couldn't eat anything. That's my life. Like we would try to go out to dinner with friends and I just couldn't do it because you would see me like half the time, and then I would get really hungry and cave and eat like a normal human being, and then you just wouldn't see me the rest of the time because I would be on the toilet just crying. So that was a really painful week, and it was terrible because I would get hungry obviously, and then I would eat, and then I would just like be in terrible cramping pain and then be on the toilet, and then the whole cycle would start over again where I really wanted to eat again. So that was just my life for a week basically. Somehow still got a video out for you guys because I'm a maniac, and even when I'm sick I cannot miss a Pham Friday. So I don't know, give thumbs up for freaking being stupid. So that was that week. And then as soon as the diarrhea stopped, I got a fever, and that's pretty sucky because I already felt like I had been sick for an entire week, and then I got a fever, and my camera battery is low. Okay, I'm gonna try to say all this really fast, but it's still like a whole nother story. So then I get a fever and I'm supposed to go to LA for a week, and I have so many exciting things planned, and I'm supposed to go with Ryan, and I'm really excited to go, and I get this fever like the day before we leave. So I'm like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. Usually I wait 3 days before going to the doctor because I'm stubborn, but this time I was like, let's just go to a clinic today. My doctor wasn't open because it was a Sunday, so I was like, let's just go to like some sort of one of those clinics that you find randomly on the street. And so we go to one, and I've never done this before. I usually always go to my doctor, and my doctor knows me. Like I used to get fevers like once a month. Like this was normal to me, but usually it's like a sinus infection and has to do with allergies, and this one was just a fever. So I had no idea what was going on. I just wanted antibiotics and to get out of there. So I go in, and she's not even like a real this is kind of offensive. Like I know that nurses are still doctors, but she wasn't like an actual like doctor. She wasn't my doctor. She was a nurse who didn't know me, and she walks in, and without even like really asking my history or why I'm here at all, she just like starts doing things. And the first thing she does is I lay down, and she just like pushes on my stomach like this, and she was like, does that hurt? And I stupidly said yes. I was like, I mean, I guess so. But it was like, it hurt like, oh, I'm constipated and like someone squishing my stomach doesn't feel that great, not like ow pain. And so she immediately all of a sudden was just like, oh, okay, well then you're gonna go need a sonogram or a CAT scan because it could be appendicitis, and if your appendix bursts then you're gonna die. And I'm just like, okay, like what do you mean a CAT scan? Like how do you pay for that? Aren't those like thousands of dollars? What do you mean I need a CAT scan? Like I don't have appendicitis. Like what do you mean? She's like, well, if it hurt right there, then you probably have appendicitis and you should go get like, you should go get a CAT scan right now. And I'm like, okay, where do I go get a CAT scan? She's like, it's gonna be over there. I'm gonna go get you the paperwork. And she just leaves. Like this is how fast that nurse jumped to conclusions and didn't even like let me speak at all. I later did my own research, and if you do have appendicitis, it should hurt like to the right of your belly button, and there should be a pain there. But the type of like, I didn't even mean pain. I just meant like uncomfortable, because had she pressed it on the other side, it would have felt the same. It wasn't specific to that area. And also like my stomach just didn't hurt. Like all I had was a fever. So to assume appendicitis was just like, I was like, what? And I just looked at Ryan, and something inside me, I was like, I know this isn't appendicitis. So I looked up, I did a lot more Googling because obviously she scared me. I'm not gonna like completely ignore a doctor just because I think I know I'm right. So I did all the other tests for appendicitis online. If you jump up and down, it's supposed to hurt. If you jump on your right leg, it should be like unbearable. If you lay down and someone slaps the bottom of your feet, that should be terribly painful. And then I asked you guys on my Instagram, like if you guys have ever had appendicitis, what did it feel like? Basically everyone was like, I couldn't move. It was so painful. Like if you had appendicitis, you would know you had appendicitis. So I was like, okay, I literally have zero stomach pain. Like I don't know why she did that other than like getting money or a commission out of a CAT scan. I really think she just didn't take her time to like get to know me. Like, are you used to getting sick? Are you used to getting fevers? All of this stuff. So I was like, okay, well that was a waste of my $30 copay because I don't have appendicitis. And she almost made me go get a CAT scan. And I was like, Ryan, trust me, like I don't need a CAT scan. A few days go by, and this is where we get into the very personal part of the story. So I am sharing this story just because I feel like this is something that other girls go through and you shouldn't feel ashamed about it. So I'm gonna talk about it anyway. I don't think it's that gross, but if you're like sensitive to talking about things, it is related to my vagina. So also I feel like I should use a different word or YouTube might demonetize me. In my other video, I called it my girly pop, but then you guys were like, if you call us girly pops, then does that mean you're calling us vagina? And I was like, that's a good point. So what should I call it? I'm gonna call it my flower, I guess. That's just generic. So I have this fever for like 4 more days. And then all of a sudden I go to the restroom, and then a few seconds later, I notice that like my flower hurts. And I'm like, this is strange. Like I've never gotten a UTI, I've never gotten an infection, so I don't know what this feels like. I'm like, this is really weird. Like I've never had it hurt down there ever before. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I squat over a mirror and I try to see if like something's in there, and I see nothing. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And then 2 hours later, the pain intensifies, and so I look again, and to my horror, there is something happening like on the inner walls of my flower. And at this point I just wanted to like cry out of literal just fear. Like anything that has to do with down there, like the most sensitive part of your body, is just terrifying. Ew, I don't like this as much. Okay, obviously the sun is going down because I've been talking for so dang long, but my camera died, so I'm using this one now. But this is the best part of the story, so I'm sorry, I just gotta finish this. So the first thing I do obviously is I start Googling everything, and everything related to your flower, the first thing thing it's gonna talk about is STDs or STIs, whatever you wanna call them, but I am not sexually active. This is something that I probably talk about too much, but I'm waiting till marriage. You guys know that. It's like a thing on my channel. Basically everyone who watches me knows that, but if you're just watching the story time, that is a major key to this story, because obviously the first thing anyone thinks about when it comes to like an ulcer or a blister or something down there is like, oh, you have herpes, you have, I don't name all of the other diseases you could get, because there's a lot of them. I learned from Googling this, there's so many of them. So I was so confused because I was like, are there any that are not sexually transmitted? Like, what is happening? The next day, we tried to get me in with a gynecologist, but she's busy, so I get to see the physician's assistant. So I see the physician's assistant. I spread open my legs for her to see, and her to see what's happening down there. And needless to say, she takes one look and she's just baffled. She's like, I literally have no idea what that is. So let me have my other doctor friend come take a look. So this other lady comes in, looks in there, prods around, hurts like mother freak, and they literally don't know what it is. And I can hear her in the other room being like, I literally don't want to describe it because it's so disgusting, but it's graphic, okay? Like, she was describing it in utter disbelief, basically. So they come back and they don't know what to tell me. So the only thing they can possibly do is just take a test and see what happens. So they take some sort of swab and they do it, and it hurt like a mother freaker. I was like, ow, oh my gosh. And then it was over in a second, and I think it's called a culture test. So they put that in, and the culture test hasn't even come back actually. So if it comes back, I can tell you what it is on Instagram, but I don't know for this story right now. And then they also were like, also go get your blood taken just for fun, like just in case you're dying or something. So I'm like, okay, that's great. I go get my blood taken, and that is that for that day. And I go home very scared, very confused and angry. I literally went through like a stage where I was kind of like angry at God, because I was like, why would I literally like wait to do anything sexually, and yet still like my vagina is the thing that's getting punished? Like, why me of all people? Which is a very naive way of thinking, obviously, but like I was just so scared and confused, like to not know what was going on, and to also be in like the scariest place on your body. Just imagine like what that would be like to see like this random thing show up down there and it be incredibly painful. It is a very, very, very scary thing. And then for two doctors to look at you and just be baffled, like I felt like I was like, what if I do have this like rare disease that they can't even figure out? Like that's such a nightmare to like see so many doctors. I go back home still very confused, and then I wake up the next morning and it hurts like 10 times more. And I look at a mirror again, and I legitimately almost start crying from looking in the mirror, because it had spread and it looked so different. Like at this point, it literally looked like ulcers. This is graphic, I already told you. If you don't like this stuff, you should just leave now. But it literally went from like one tiny little dot to like this huge, like this big on one of them, and then 3 other ones. Literally like is making me anxious just talking about it, like thinking back to when I had first discovered them. So at this point, it hurts to walk, it hurts to sit down, it's incredibly painful to pee, it's terrifying. So by the time that I had discovered this, it was already too late to go to the doctor. So I'm calling everyone, just trying to see like if I can get scheduled in, and everyone's telling me, I'm sorry, but we can't see any patients till when we open again at 8 a.m. So I finally get scheduled for tomorrow, and this time I finally get to see the actual gynecologist, the lady who's like in charge of the OBGYN, the lady who is the expert. She's the full-on gynecologist, not the practitioner's assistant. And so I really have a lot of hope that she can know what is wrong with me. So on this day, it is just a terrible day, and that was today. And I literally could barely walk into that place, and I was trying not to draw attention, but I had to walk like this. I'll just show you. I actually still do kind of have to walk like this, but I literally like had to walk like this in order for my lady bits to not go like this, because think about 2 ulcers on 2 sides of your freaking vagina going like this as you walk. It is as gruesome and painful as it sounds. I go into the doctor, thank God. This lady takes one look at me and she was like, okay, I think I know what you have. I'm gonna go do some more research. Let me go leave and make sure and then come back to you. And finally, praise Jesus, she comes back with an answer. So what I have was, let me get it for you because I cannot remember. It is called a Lipschultz ulcer. So this is an incredibly rare condition, because of course I would get something rare, but it is a clinical diagnosis based on both detailed history with acute painful genital ulceration associated to a fever, which I had, and a sexually inactive me, adolescent girl. So I fit all three categories. It affects women from ages 9 to 23. I am 18, so I fit right in there. It is not sexually transmitted. In fact, I guess you have to be sexually inactive to get it. And it also is something that you get after like a viral infection or a fever. So after this crazy show of me like having diarrhea for a week, having a fever for a week, and then all of a sudden like the most painful ulcers just like showing up on my genitalia, I finally get an answer. And I couldn't like even research this for this to come up on Google myself because it's so specific and rare that no one, like I couldn't get answers from anyone. So after seeing 4 doctors, literally that first one who thought I needed a CAT scan for appendicitis, she was so completely wrong. And then the 2 doctors who looked at my vagina had no idea what was going on. And finally, the gynecologist of all gynecologists that finally diagnosed me, she gave me steroids. I'm literally on steroids for the pain of it, and also an antibiotic finally. So I started the antibiotic today and hopefully it goes away. I literally still have them as I'm making this video, so that's just great. That's what I'm dealing with. I'm just going to be laying down for the next few days, hoping that this clears up and hoping that it doesn't scar or anything, because that would be really sad because I'm just trying to stay pure and like all of a sudden I get this. Very sad. I'm still sad about it. But so yeah, and also I forgot to mention, this is just like a minor detail, that from the blood that they took, they realized that I am slightly anemic, which means I'm just iron deficient, so I just need to take an iron supplement once a day. But that also could explain why I get sick so easily. And growing up, I was like, there must be a reason I get like a fever every month. Like I know I have a weak immune system and my diet is pretty crappy, and like I guess that's what it is, but I always knew it had to be something more. So hopefully when I take these iron supplements in my daily life, I will have more energy and be less susceptible to getting fevers and like crazy rare conditions like this. Okay, I literally forgot the craziest plot twist of the entire story. The craziest part of the story, I don't know how I forgot to mention this to you. This is also the most graphic part of the story. If I thought getting ulcers on my vagina was the worst part of it, I felt a pain down there. Not just any pain, a burning pain. And guess what? I got my period while I had genital ulcers. And what does that mean? That my period blood literally had to go down and touch my ulcers, and those ulcers are freaking open flesh wounds, and do you know how much that freaking burns? So I'm definitely taking my steroids, and this is by far the craziest thing to ever happen to me, and that is it. So that's the crazy part that I forgot to say. On back to the video. But finally, that is the end of the story time as we know it. I will never hope to have a crazy tandem Mojo life again, because as much as these story times are fun, actually living this was hell. Like I was so scared this whole time. It's just been a crazy 3 weeks. Completely missed my week in LA. I was gonna film really 2 exciting videos for you guys, so those are gonna be pushed back, but for now you guys got this, so I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Come here, Buddha. Are you designing merch? Okay, so I hope you guys liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up for all of my miseries and still getting this video out on time for Fam Friday. Woo! Go check out my merch website. There is gonna be new Spock merch soon, but he's taking a very long time to draw it because he is a dog, so that's taking a while. You can subscribe to join the family. I post videos every Fam Friday, like I've said before, and you can follow my journeys continuing on out on Instagram, because I definitely kept you guys in the loop during all of this, and it was a very dramatic time, but this is also the most dramatic thing that's ever happened to me, so I don't know how to handle these situations. And I also have a vlog channel and a channel with Ryan, my BF, called The Trey Family. So that is all that I have for you. I just poured out my heart and soul to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, here are Girly Pops of the week. These are Girly Pops who bought the merch and then posted it on Instagram or Twitter, and I really appreciate you guys supporting me. I'm really excited to release new merch and stuff, and very exciting things coming up soon. So yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you did listen all the way through, comment down below chocolate milk. Okay, I love you so much. See you somewhere else on the internet. I love you, Girly Pops. God bless. Goodbye. But Spock, he's never this loud. Why? Spock, your mother is trying to tell a story. Look, he literally has like a You got your emo hairstyle? Spock, there's no way. Spock, there's no way, buddy. There's literally no way. What is wrong with you, you problem child? Do not lick me, because then you got bacteria in your mouth and then mother gonna get sick. Stop barking at people. Be nice. You gotta spread love and positivity. Anyways, trying to discipline my child. I don't know. Spock. Okay. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. We all get on our phones. We're trying to find. Oh my gosh, Spock. It's okay, baby. You don't have to worry, because the doors are locked and those people are not gonna come through. We could fly to this. Spock. I cannot wait to live in a house where he never does this again. Spock, be nice.
He runs
He runs over back to me. Janet. Oh, I'm gonna rip out my hair.